Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to Education Today. I'm your host, Scott Noons, and I'm joined by my friends Nancy and Michael from the Global Maker Day team. I'm so glad to have y'all here. Thanks for doing it. By the way, everyone, they were willing to jump on last minute for this National STEM just celebration extravaganza. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. and so still going, but the brain is going at like 80% right now.
You got an extra hour of sleep though, right? So
I did. I think I burned through it. I saw somebody post that we should have had another hour today, and I'm all on board with that. I could have done it again today quite easily. And as many of you know, I started working for Canva, and we're based in the U.S. office out of Austin. So I'm back in California now in my studio here, but I was there for 2 weeks onboarding. I go back next week, and I'll eventually settle in over there. But for right now, I'll be going back and forth for a bit. So the whole time change, it's kind of throwing me off, and I was having to do calculations on my calendar in my head. Feel like I'm getting pretty good at that, though. Buddy Tyler's chiming in here. He's saying 5 a.m. That's amateur hour. Oh, 3:45 to get to the gym. And Tyler, you'll have to tell us how many days you're at. Tyler has been trucking. He's over like 300 days straight going to the gym, I want to say. That's pretty impressive.
It's dark when he wakes up, and it's got to be to the point where it's getting dark when he gets home. I mean, if he's a teacher.
Yeah. Just here in California and even in Texas last week, it was starting to get that way. And the office was prepping. They were like, hey, get ready. It's those long fill-in days where it's dark when you get to work and it's dark when you leave. 311 days, he's saying.
Wow.
Nice. That's some
311 straight days of waking up at 3:45. Holy
yeah, that's hardcore. We got John Carippo in the house. What's up, John?
What's up, John?
Shout out to John.
I just had a chance to catch up with John when he was in Buffalo. We had some good conversation. Just for a little while, I was like, we had to try to find a way to make it happen. I've never had a chance to meet him and catch up, and a big fan of his work. So it was good. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and you guys got together with a few people, right? Tell us about that conference. I'm curious. Last week I did the NYC DOE conference. What was this one?
No, John was just in Buffalo doing some work in a school district.
Just in Buffalo.
And I just happened to I saw a post of chicken wings, and it said in Buffalo, New York. And I said, wait, what is this? And then it turns out I sent a message and just said, hey, if it works out, and I've added a few items now to my grocery list as a result for sure. So. But it's just good to catch up and seeing the good work people are doing. And, you can learn so much from Twitter and social media and things like that, but you know how it is when you get a chance to actually just sit down and have a conversation with somebody. And you'd mentioned going to conferences, and I've been out of loop on conferences since everything shut down. I think my last one was ISTE in Philly when I had ran into you there. I've just been doing a lot of stuff locally. So I'm traveling tomorrow for a workshop on digital fluency and computer science standards. So it's nice to be with people again. I just haven't been able to get to any actual conferences.
I just did the first one, first two back in South Carolina last month. And I forgot all my dongles. I forgot everything that I normally take with me. I was like, how do you do this? How do you travel now? I can't even remember to pack everything I need. So I got to get back in that traveling shape to go to conferences and remember everything that I need to take with me.
That's an excellent point. I was just thinking about this because I had my most recent in-person conference, the first one I had been to since ISTE in 2019, that summer. And it was really weird, like, how do you do this again with the dongles? I was thinking like, maybe many of us need like a course in that again, especially new presenters who've maybe only presented virtually and are now only presenting in person or just starting to or planning. John says you need a magic bag. Yes, I have mine.
I have it. It's right here.
Nice.
It's there. I just didn't get in the suitcase.
I can relate. That's
I was right down the street, so I just bought a new one, and we went right along. It was all good.
yes, that is the same. Well, in typical Education Today fashion, I'll have each of you just share your story, who you are, where you're from, and essentially how you got there. Let's start with you, Nancy.
Okay. So I am originally from Pickens, South Carolina. You can probably tell with my accent. And I now live in Miami, Florida. And people are like, how did that happen? And I'm like, some days I wonder the same thing. I taught in Pickens, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, Marion, South Carolina, and then met my husband. And he was like, hey, let's move to Miami or New York or LA. And I was like, oh gosh, it's cold in New York and LA is going to fall in the ocean. So let's go to Miami. It's the closest, I can get back home to my family. And I'm about 13 hours if I had to drive it, an hour and a half to fly it. So you can't really beat that. So we ended up here. I teach at Shecklow Community School in North Miami Beach, Florida. We are a private Jewish day school. We have 18 months to 18 years. So the babies all the way to the seniors in high school. I've taught everyone from kindergarten through the 12th graders now, and they come by and say, hey, look what we're doing. We're making these roller coasters this week. I'm like, yay. And they say, I named it after you. I'm like, yeah, right, sure. So it's wonderful. And I love being a teacher. My mom was a teacher in Sunday school, and I watched her growing up and went in to see what she did. And I just fell in love with that and always wanted to be a teacher. I've taught everything from being in a classroom, and now I'm teaching STEM design. And with COVID, everything kind of changed around a little bit. So my subject was social studies lab. And now we just switched over my subject to science, and we're doing the same kind of thing, robotics and coding and movie making and maker and everything to do with science is our topic. So I love it. I tell people I get paid to play all day, and it's great. And I give the kids an idea, and I sit back and see what they do.
That's awesome.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, I'm not the host of the show, but I got to just step in and ask Nancy a question because I saw a picture.
Yeah.
You were wearing a hard hat or construction helmet somewhere. And I don't know what was going on there.
So we've been studying. We did pumpkin STEM. I'm in a Jewish day school. There's a lot of Jewish holidays at the beginning of school, and so I wasn't seeing every class every day or every week. And so I tried to fill in with something that would be fun. So we were doing a pumpkin STEM unit, and I said, we're going to explode a pumpkin. We're going to use rubber bands. How many rubber bands do you think it's going to be? And of course, we watched a video online of a couple of guys who were doing it with a watermelon. And the kids, the first thing they said was, they're not being safe. And I said, I'm going to call their moms. I'm like, well, I don't have their mom, but I did tweet them. So the kids were like, you have to be safe, Miss B. You have to be safe. So I had my hard hat. I had gloves, but I had to take those off because you can't really put the rubber bands on. So we were exploding the pumpkin. We get up to 172 rubber bands, and the fire alarm goes off. And I look at all of my administrators are outside watching because they're having a great time too. And they look at me and I look at them. I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. And they're like, go. So everybody has to get up and go. So I stay with the pumpkins because all the little kids are walking right by all the pumpkin stuff. And I didn't want them to run into it and get hit or anything. And just as everybody said, all clear, and they start coming back over, it goes. But we had the video on. So we were recording it. So we did get the recording of it. And it was 172. And 10 minutes later, it exploded. So it was quite the experience today. Yeah. So it's National STEM Day. You got to blow something up, right? So that was what happened today at our school.
That is so cool. That's pretty awesome. I'm glad nobody missed it. Glad you got it recorded. And you shared it out on Twitter?
I think, I did share it out the last little bit. My
okay, nice.
Our development team was recording all of it and the pre-show and all of that good stuff. So they're going to put a video together for us, and we'll share that out later too once they get that put together. But yep, the kids are like, no, what happened? I'm like, well, we have a rubber band ball and we have a pumpkin that's literally sliced in two. And there's no mess. And I was really worried about the mess, but there was no mess. And so that was even better. So it was an exciting day today.
I like that. Very exciting. And remind the audience of your Twitter handle so they can follow you.
Sure. It is at Penchevable, PenchevAble. Somehow my YouTube channel got changed to Penchavable at some point. And I'm like, well, not everybody can Penchev, but I can. So I'm Penchavable. So I just kept it. And that's my Twitter and my Instagram. I have Instagram for my parents at our school. I share everything there. Teachers can feel free to follow me there as well. And then my Twitter is where I share professional stuff. So I share a lot of the same things in both places. Just how I word it sometimes is a little different.
No, I like that. That's good for the clarification too. And I like how you're leveraging each kind of audience. That's really neat. I tried to do that as well. Michael, go ahead, jump in, take over. Let us know your handle, where to follow you, and let us in on your story.
Before I do that, I just also got to say it must have been something about fire drills today, because we had one as well. I don't know. The temperature was like freezing cold last week here in Buffalo and Buffalo area, and it crept up into the 60s today. And when you get that warm day in there and it's not snowing yet, boom, fire drill. So, but yeah, I'm Michael Drezek. I'm a district tech integrator at Lakeshore Central here, about 30 minutes outside of Buffalo, right along Lake Erie. And I'm on Twitter at @m_Drez, DREZ. That's where I do most of my connecting and sharing. Have a few of the other social platforms, but definitely don't use those to the extent that I use Twitter. It's my 18th year in education. It's kind of crazy to think that it's been that long. I've been a middle school math teacher for 10 years, and this is my 8th year as a tech integrator, TOSA teacher on special assignment, just traveling between our 5 schools and just trying to get into classrooms and make some waves. I don't know, we talk about National STEM Day. I'm glad you had pointed it out, because I hadn't realized that that's what it was. So we didn't have anything special to celebrate. However, we're doing a few cool things in classrooms. But I always like to, what's today, it's the national, whatever it is, and to try to have some fun with that in classrooms. So I'm kind of bummed that I didn't even realize that it was National STEM Day until I saw your post. But like you said, every day is Global Maker Day. Every day is STEM Day. Just trying to do that stuff in some way. The kids making connections, asking good questions, and not being afraid to, I don't know, break something, fail, have it not go right, and then let that be a memorable experience. And you don't always get that on a worksheet, and you get that through some of those other neat STEM things. So, but yeah, that's kind of my deal. I've been doing this, like I said, 8 years, and just been, trying to learn more every day and connect with good people like you and Nancy and everyone else in these spaces that's out sharing what they're doing. And, I see it could be like one little post I see, and I'm like, oh, that looks really neat, and just leads to a conversation, or leads you go down the rabbit hole of what does that look like. And then you can kind of, I don't want to say steal it, but, get inspired by it and try to, either replicate it or put your own little spin on something in your own school district. So that's why I'm active in these spaces, to try to get ideas from other people so that I can do better than I did yesterday. So yes, STEM-wise stuff, we've been trying to do a lot with game-based learning. I've been trying to, I don't know what, been trying to do some stuff with Unity, some stuff with Minecraft Education Edition, and getting in there and getting into like the chemistry inside of Minecraft Education Edition, which I think is just super cool. You can blow stuff up without having a mess. Things like that. So yeah,
so much fun. I think the possibilities are really endless with Minecraft and with Unity. I'm sure you have to know him, Steve Isaacs, right?
I should say Unreal Engine, and just like getting the kids like building their own games and just messing with the physics of that. And yeah, so grateful for Steve's work, because him and his team have put together resources that an inexperienced person like me can jump in and use right away.
Right. If I were still in the classroom or in my tech coach role, that was something I was starting to invest a lot of time in, because I see a significant future in that. There are so many learning things, opportunities that can be unlocked with that technology, and you can really infuse some life skills into their learning. You can connect so many different industries and aspects. A video game, for example, right? You could have people doing voiceovers, people doing design, people doing the coding, the engineering, people doing the storyline. You could literally have all of the subjects contained in a video game which is amazing. Video games aren't necessarily a time suck, even though they can be sometimes, right? I'm guilty of that myself, getting caught up playing Minecraft, or I used to play Overwatch a lot. Now I'm too busy for that. But it's something that students are willing to invest in and they can relate to. And now they can create their characters. They can, take their own avatar and put it into a game. And I think that's where Global Maker Day comes in, right? Any day is a day for making, and you can make it, in virtual reality. You can make it in a physical reality, augmented reality, where you're kind of meshing things, or what Jamie Donnelly and I have been having fun doing on the back end is taking things that she scans in, and I'll, bring them over and 3D print them, and then we can bring them back in to AR, VR. The possibilities are really endless. I rented a Tesla for TCCA, a treat to myself, kind of for getting the new job. I always wanted to try one, and so I rented one for the weekend, and just wanted to see, could I actually, charge the battery and do all this cool stuff with the Tesla. And one thing I noticed immediately was the AR VR technology in there. I actually wish I would have asked Jamie, but I'm sure you'll know, Michael. So it takes the real world and it doesn't overlay it like augmented reality, but it shows it on the screen. So is that AR or VR? It shows all the cars.
I'm thinking that's a mixed reality type.
Oh, mixed reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in that mixed reality, that's cool.
It's a combination of both. I had a student last year who we were kind of piloting out some TED Talk kind of ideas, and one of the students chose Tesla because he's like, hey, everybody in my family has one. I want more people to get them. And I'm like, well, what are you going to tell people? So he started listing all the things, and I was like, well, okay, so who's going to be your expert? He's like, well, Elon Musk. I'm like, okay, so let's tweet him. We didn't get a reply, but we did tweet, and we asked, some questions of Tesla owners and stuff. He was like, I really don't need that because I have a whole family of them. But I'm like, well, let's just try. So he had a wonderful presentation that he created about Tesla and what it can do and what you can learn from it, and what, how you can apply what you can do with Tesla to other parts, which I would have never had. Even I don't have a Tesla. I have never even been in a Tesla. I see some at school, but I've never been in one. So I'm like, how would I wouldn't be able to give him that knowledge. I wouldn't be able to even come up with that idea, but just sitting back and letting kids have that, lead and letting them decide. We had a whole group of kids, and everybody came up with their own individual ideas. Some of them was about gaming, why you should play. I think they chose Minecraft, and why you should download Minecraft, and how you can play it when you're on the road, and all this other stuff. What to do if you're bored at home, what to do if you're in a car. And they just came up with all of these great ideas that I'd never would have come up with, but they did. And then they shared them with other kids their age, and they let me share it with some of the parents, and some of them let me share it with other teachers. So they came up with, their own criteria of this is who gets to see what I'm talking about. And then this year, last year they were in third grade. This year they're going to fourth grade, and we're going to submit TED Talks this year for that group. And they're going to create the whole thing, and they're going to mentor the third graders who are, again, piloting it this year. So it's that whole letting the kids lead and letting them jump in, and whatever they're wanting to do, supporting them with whatever. Some of them did sports, some of them did dance. And again, I have no idea. One of them did art. I'm like, y'all, I have no idea about any of the stuff that you're wanting to do. So they had to go out and find their experts, and they had to go out and do all the work. And I was just there to kind of open the door and be the adult in the room while they did the work. So it's amazing to see what kids can do if you just get out of their way.
Yeah. You're so right. What are you going to add, Michael?
I was just going to add that reminds me of we have a student-run business through EdCorps and Real World Scholars, and our kids are running their own business, making jewelry, trying to upcycle some materials. They're called Kind Kids Compliments. So the idea started with just little sheets of compliments that hung on the wall that people could tear off. And then they said, how can they pitch their business, that model idea of handcrafted jewelry with a little compliments, with the student made artwork, and they press those in. They've got magnets and keychains and necklaces, and they've shipped them all across the US. But it's neat to see the little stations, but the kids run with it. You know what I mean? Like you said, just kind of stay out of their way. Enough guidance to keep them on the right track, but enough for where they can own it and feel like they could, they offer suggestions and change things. And Yeah.
I had a kindergarten group that was making things to sell. We have a scholarship fund, and everybody was trying to make something to sell. And one of the kindergarten kids said, "Well, if we put our pictures on it, our parents will buy it." And I was like, "You know what? You're right." So they decided we're going to take. They had just taken pictures in their kindergarten cap and gown. So like, let's take our pictures and put them on a magnet, and then our parents will buy it. And they were right. That class sold out of everything they had made and made extra money to donate for the scholarship fund, and it was amazing. They came up with that idea. It wasn't me. I was like, okay then. And then they marketed it. They went home and immediately started telling their parents, "You're going to want to come to school, and you're going to want to have $5 because you're going to want to buy this magnet."
Yeah, we definitely caught the parents at like certain parent events and catch them when they're hopefully they'll tap into the wallets a little bit. But the proceeds, I didn't say all the proceeds, but the students take some of that money and kind of give it back to an organization in the community where there's need. So one time they donated it to Operation Good Neighbor to help with hunger, and sometimes the one time they donated to Community Concern to deal with an organization that deals with mental health, and then they take some of the other money and they put it back into their business to help grow it. So it's just trying to you get the empathy piece, and kids are learning a lot of real world skills.
That's so great. I experienced that too when I was in the classroom right before COVID hit. I was still in the classroom that winter, spring, and did just an open-ended student inquiry PBL project. And I had a student that was really struggling, not only in my class, but in all of their classes. And then I pulled the student aside after a while. They hadn't come up with a project yet. They were just kind of stuck. And I said, "Hey, here are some suggestions. What do you think? I noticed you're stuck." And she came back and said, "I really don't like this one. I really don't like that. Really, I just want to raise money for organizations that help parents who have kiddos that have childhood cancer and leukemia, somebody like my nephew." And I thought, hey, that's great. How are you going to do that? Are you going to raise community awareness? Are you going to raise funds? She's like, I'd like to raise funds, maybe start a t-shirt business like some of the other kiddos are doing. And so she did that. I showed her Canva, and she made her t-shirt design in a day or two, and then uploaded it to a website called Teespring, because I didn't know at the time that you could print directly from Canva. And so we sent her to teespring.com. There were no upfront costs to her. And then people could just order, and she sold about 60 hoodies, 40 tees, and donated $2,500 to Ronald McDonald House and other organizations. In 6 weeks, I was just genuinely impressed. It made me feel like I was able to recreate one of those environments you hear about, like how FedEx was created or Jamba Juice in these California universities. I was like, okay, that's what I want, right? That's kind of like the peak, but really, I didn't do anything. It was all the student. Like you said, just I moved aside. All I did was provide the opportunity, and then I was there for help if the student needed it. But the student didn't need any help past the initial exploration and ideation phase of it. They did the rest.
Talking out the idea, that's the most important part. Getting them to talk through their ideas and get to the point where they can then take off and they don't need you. That's one of the most important areas for us. We do a lot of planning before I ever let them, grab a computer or grab Legos or grab, the cardboard. They have to plan it all out. They have to start thinking, and they have to think ahead. What's going to happen when you move that? What's going to happen there? So, planning ahead, coming up with, if I hit a problem, what am I going to do? Because they'll know that I'm not the person that I can't answer those questions. I'm basically the hot glue gun, and I'm there to cut things that are, heavy cardboard. I'm there to take pictures and tweet them out and post them on Instagram. But they have to ask each other for that help, because I might have a way to find the answer on Twitter. But if they ask a classmate, they might have an even better idea.
Yeah. What a beautiful thing. Do you want to share out some of the other things you're doing, Michael? Maybe talk about that egg drop activity that you showcased during Global Maker Day. That was so cool.
So, we worked with Jess Amato from Platform to Play, and the session was called Building Resiliency One Egg at a Time. And I was a class of 5th graders, and we had told them ahead of time like what the challenge was going to be. Had them bring in supplies. None of them got a jump start on anything, but I mean, there was all kinds of creative builds and basically trying to take your egg to a high location and protect it and drop it and see what happens. And if you were successful, great. What worked? Why did it work? If not, how can you improve upon it? So, I mean, we had one kid stuff the egg inside like a giant thing of popcorn and then wrap that in a towel. And, she was laughing. She said, I've been doing this activity for years and I've never seen anybody try to secure the egg in a bag of popcorn. But it worked. It didn't break. We had a girl like blow up balloons and attach balloons to a box. We had someone try to suspend the egg. It was just, and then we also had the conversation about resiliency. What does it mean to be resilient? We related that to the egg and to the activity. And, like you said, Nancy, sometimes just having the conversations and then we took time for reflection afterwards. Jess was nice enough, even post Global Maker Day, to reconnect with the class and have that reflection time. So, but yeah, like we hosted Global Maker Day 1 year out at Lakeshore. I know Nancy has hosted it out at her school. To be able to be a host school and to have that event going on where you've got all these classrooms doing, just really getting into Global Maker Day is really cool. So, I mean, I hope it continues to grow. I believe that it will. It seems to be trending that way every year. More people find out about it. What the heck is Global Maker Day? They realize how easy it is to just join in and check the schedule, check the challenges, and you don't need any to prep with any materials. You just tune in and make,
Yeah, for me, the day,
because they can go in afterwards and watch the videos later too. Because we had the kids who were presenting from India. That not everybody can stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning and do it with us, but they can go back and watch it later. So I think that just gives another whole element to it. To give the kids another time. A teachers say, oh, I'm doing this. I think I saw that on Global Maker Day. And you can go pull up just that and show that part of it anytime you want. I think that makes it such a valuable tool.
Yeah. And the fact that you could have kindergartners doing it and seniors doing it. There's, and anything in between. I think that's huge too,
Right, with those challenges. And you can see how scalable it is. And it's pretty impressive how well some of the lower grades do in comparison to the higher grades. They really stretch themselves and they're really good thinkers and innovators. I think we need to, go to them for more solutions with some of our societal challenges. They're just great and they have such joy and passion while doing it. It's so much fun.
They don't have the fear. When you get older, you get worried about either peers or maybe even your own self-doubt. But when you're in first grade or kindergarten, you have no fear of sharing out your idea. You can hey, I have this idea and I'm going to do this and this and this. And it may make no sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to you. And then once you start making it, other people are like, oh, okay. So, they don't have that fear and they have no worries. And if it doesn't work, they're like, okay, I'll turn it into this instead. So that's one of the great parts about kindergarten and making with even younger kids. I've been making stuff with 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds in some of my after school classes, and they have no fear whatsoever. They're just going to jump right into that robot. They don't know anything about it. They don't care. They're going to do it. So that's the great thing about the younger kids is there is that ability to just adapt to move to whatever.
It's the exact opposite of a teacher either asking a question at a faculty meeting or sharing an idea in a faculty meeting, right? Like that kindergartner has no fear, but that teacher's thinking a few times over before they bring something out loud in front of the group, right?
Exactly. I think many of us can relate to that experience. I want you to showcase that mug, Michael, that you got there. So
the brick mug. Basically, it's got all the pegs and holes in it for me to Legify this thing. So my kid's into Legos. I got a bunch of Legos around. I love that it's a blank slate right now, but I guess it's a sandbox of
yeah. It's really neat to see what students might do with something like that. I want to encourage everyone to follow you both on Twitter, but also Global Maker Day. You can follow Global Maker Day at the website, www.globalmakerday.com. I believe the YouTube channel is Global Maker Day as well. and on Twitter at Global Maker Day. Where can everyone follow you at, Nancy?
You could go to my website, nycpenchev.com, and I have lots of presentations from lots of different conferences. I have FETC is coming up in January. I have a workshop on Friday for teacher and student creation tools. And my kids will be highlighted. They won't be there in person, but they'll make videos and tell you what tools that they love and how they use them in class so that you can start using them and use them with your students as well. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Penchevable. And if you want to email me, my name, Nyc Penchev, is my Gmail as well. And you can get in touch with me there.
Nice. And then where can we follow you at, Michael?
Yeah, I'm at mdrez, m_Drez on Twitter, DREZ. I don't know how I snuck that underscore in there, however many years ago when I was creating that account. Not the greatest idea, but I just got to roll with it. And then my website there is michaeldrezek.com. I don't post there as regularly as I should, just running in a million different directions. Sometimes that website collects some dust, but every once in a while I catch a wave of inspiration and get cranking on that thing and churn out some ideas. But a lot of my resources and presentations and various things are on there as well. But yeah, so love to connect with anyone that is interested in doing the same.
Nice. And I can attest to Michael Drezek's just wealth of knowledge. I know my buddy Matthew Ketchum and I on the TNT Ed Tech podcast, we just totally geeked out with Michael at ISTE 2019, and the conversation went by so fast. And whenever I look at one of your posts or chat with you, I'm always learning. And the same with you, Nancy. I'm just blown away at the just amount of knowledge that the Global Maker Day team has. Jamie Donnelly has done a fantastic job. Shout out to Jamie. She's been just an amazing mentor of mine. I was about to say, I don't think I would be here. I know I would not be where I'm at and achieving at such a high level without her expertise and her kind of taking me under her wing. So I'm definitely grateful. So shout out to her. You could follow her at Jamie Donnelly on Twitter. And thank you all. You could follow me at Mr. Noons Teach on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you all once again. And what a great way to end National STEM Day today. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who tuned in today. Can't wait until the next episode. Thank you all. Take care, everyone.